The NBA in-season tournament just continues to not disappoint, delivering us another classic with Monday night's matchup between the Celtics and Pacers. This game had it all, the Jays each dropping 30 apiece, Tyrese Halliburton continuing to look like a superstar, exciting strategies on offense and defense from both teams, as the electric atmosphere made me question if I was actually watching the finals. It should come as no surprise that right out the gate, Indiana was looking to play with as much pace as possible. And while usually that means Halliburton's leading the charge and getting everyone involved, in this one it was primarily the attack of Bruce Brown. After a defensive rebound, Boston's defense is still looking to get set, but there's no time for that because Bruce is already jogging up court and starting his drive as soon as he touches the logo, throwing an explosive crossover to get downhill where he earns a pair of free throws. So next time the Celtics find themselves in a similar situation, Jalen doesn't pick up the ball as aggressively, knowing that there wasn't anyone to help on that last drive. To counter, Bruce just uses that extra space to step into a high-quality outside jumper. Oftentimes, teams will make every adjustment and extra effort they possibly can to slow down Indiana's offense, but Boston didn't take that approach, instead looking to give them a taste of their own medicine by matching the speed on the other end. That was of course led by one of the game's best transition scorers, Jaylen Brown, who relentlessly attacked downhill with every opportunity and continued to create efficient offense for himself at the rim. On the rare occasion that the game actually did slow down, the Pacers went to ball screen action for Halliburton, and that just opens up so many options. Horford sits back in a drop against this one, and that not only creates the threat of Tyrese stepping into a triple of his own, but leaves Miles Turner unattended on a pop, and that's just too much room for the big man. Next time you're going to see Halliburton chased over the top by Tatum, with Horford again back in a drop, which leaves him with a decent amount of space to operate with in between, faking a pass to the roller to set up a soft touch floater. Unfortunately, Tyrese would check out of the first with about 6 minutes left, and Indiana's offense completely collapsed, scoring just 4 points over the next 4 minutes with him on the bench, and it just looked noticeably tougher, no longer getting those high-value opportunities in the half court. Thankfully for them, the Celtics were struggling as well, making careless mistakes with the ball, missing shots, and the game overall was just really sloppy in the start. The first quarter ended at 24-22 in favor of Boston, which might not seem too low scoring, but when considering the pace at which both teams played at, the efficiency just wasn't good at all, both teams falling under an offensive rating of 93. To start the second, the Pacers' offense looked to be firing on all cylinders. They were just simply capitalizing on what they like to do, running the floor with speed, creating open threes, and knocking them down. They actually shot 5 of 8, or 62.5% from 3 during these 12 minutes, not missing at all. And on the other end, the Celtics were busy shooting just 3 of 13, 23%. And usually that type of disparity in outside shooting is enough to heavily skew the offensive production in favor of the team that's hitting. But that just wasn't the case. Although Boston couldn't hit threes, they got whatever they wanted on the interior. Primarily that came as a result of ruthlessly attacking Halliburton with every opportunity. It seemed like whoever he was guarding was who was running the offense, and that's because he really struggles defending on the ball. This time it's Derek White, who looks like he's about to come off a ball screen from Tatum, and it looks like the thought of White rejecting the screen never even crosses Halliburton's mind, which leads to an easy driving lane all the way to the cup for 2. Whenever Tatum initiated, he was trying to get that switch onto Halliburton, but the Pacers went to a number of strategies in an effort to avoid it. This time you're going to see him call for a pre-switch so that he can hide behind the play, and they're able to survive when Tatum misses a 3. But it's not always that simple. This time Tatum uses a screen in the corner, and the only way to avoid the switch is by trapping the ball, which then creates an advantage for the Celtics to attack. Hauser's shooting threat forces Indy into a scramble, so he moves it over to White, who comfortably steps into a top of the key triple. To make things even tougher, They used Tatum as the screener a couple times, and I'm not sure how you're supposed to defend this. You probably don't want to leave White with any space to shoot or attack, but by hesitating on the switch, that leaves Tatum wide open on a slip. Definitely don't want that. Of course, that meant there were instances when the switch was absolutely necessary, and then it was a one-on-one between Tatum and Halliburton. Needless to say, things didn't go so well for the home team. Tatum made it clear that he was looking to use his size and athleticism to his advantage by slashing to the rim as much as possible, and that led to some easy offense down low, because for some reason Rick Carlisle thought it'd be a good idea to put Obi Toppin at the 5. And when Halliburton responded to the driving threat by leaving a little bit of space, Tatum of course just pulled from the logo like any normal 6'8" forward would do. Usually defenses are able to cover for their weaker on-ball guys by surrounding them with other good defensive wings, but the Pacers just don't have that personnel. One pass away you've got Benedict Mathurin, and like I mentioned, Obi Toppin's at the 5, so White doesn't have much trouble getting to the rim himself. And the other wing, Buddy Hield, is every bit as problematic, so when Holiday turns his back to the basket to attack him in the post, Bruce has to come over and double, again putting the defense into a scramble as Jaylen Brown shows off his arsenal as a scorer. The Celtics had a 124 offensive rating in this quarter, despite shooting just 23% from 3. That's really impressive. But because Indiana's offense was also performing, this was survivable, right? Well, that was until Boston found themselves down 1 with under 3 minutes left, and made a key defensive adjustment to close the half. Instead of helping early or gapping, whenever Halliburton initiated the offense, they stayed home, forcing him to be more of a scorer. And it's only once he touches the paint that Horford's going to make what's called a late help, sending away his layup. Through this strategy, they were able to almost bait Tyrese into taking really tough shots. Instead of trying another drive, this time he's going to step back for a 30-footer over the contest of Tatum, which barely touches the net. And next time down, instead of settling, he's going to again try to create some downhill pressure. But with Derek White on his hip, and Tatum digging at the nail, it's a super awkward floater that again misses everything. The only points that Halliburton scored during this time came from a ridiculously smothered off-the-dribble 3, and credit to him for the shot making, but sustaining high-quality offense on that type of diet is nearly impossible. Also, I just want to quickly add that whenever the Celtics backcourt of Holiday and White is on the floor together, they just wreak havoc. So it wasn't just Tyrese who struggled to generate pressure, it was the entire team. After going down 46-43, Boston closed half number 1 on a 12-2 run, heading into the break with a lead of 7. To start the third, the Celtics continued their relentless hunt of Halliburton, but I think the Pacers held up much better. This time you're going to see him blitz the handle while Turner drops down from the weak side. And who would have thought that rim protection is actually pretty important? Now, there were of course still times when avoiding the switch proved to be difficult to handle. When Tatum comes off a down screen, Halliburton has to stay in the lane to not give up a cut. But in doing so, he's forced to leave Derek White for a brief moment, which leads to 3 points. But in the time Tyrese had to defend in isolation, I really loved the effort. Here Drew wants to take him in the post, and he battles hard for position, actually taking away the entry pass. On this next one, it's Delano Banton who tries to attack him in space, and he does a great job of moving his feet, then using his length to take away any good looks. Just like that, the Celtics don't have much time, with no advantage to attack, and the result is a smothered 3 that doesn't fall. In addition to this newfound success on defense, Indiana's offense was on a mission. As soon as Halliburton opened the second half with this beautiful no-look dime, I think everyone in the arena should have been prepared for what was about to happen. When I say pushing the pace, I mean half of Halliburton's offensive possessions were spent in a full sprint. And it all happened so fast that by the time they're scoring, the defense is left looking clueless. This one starts with a kick ahead pass to Hield, but there isn't a great look from 3, so he moves it back to Halliburton, who immediately puts it on the deck to apply that pressure, getting all the way to the rim for a big body finish. Remember, when the Celtics do get into a proper defensive setup, they're playing Tyrese to be more of a scorer, and then making late help rotations around the rim. So when he comes off a ghost screen, there's nobody to slow his momentum for about 15 feet of space, and he uses that to his advantage by attacking with speed, getting to a layup before Horford ever arrives. And to offer a little bit more resistance on that left-hand drive, this time when he comes off a screen, Holiday's going to show to the ball for just a brief moment as White recovers from his hip. So instead of getting downhill, he hesitates before stepping back into a 3 that hits nothing but the net. Halliburton was absolutely frying Boston's guards. Miles Turner's coming to set a screen going right, so he throws a crossover to make Holiday think he's using it, only to cross over again, and just look at how much space a simple double cross created. From there, his all-world shooting can take care of the rest. Here's another one where he sets up his defender before rejecting a screen, but White doesn't bite as hard and stays attached to his hip. So he takes an extra dribble as if looking to drive, which pulls Horford into that drop coverage, leaving Miles Turner all alone up top as he gets in on the action as well. Tyrese went absolutely stupid in this quarter, recording 12 points and 5 assists on 86% true shooting in just 8 minutes of play. The big key though, in my opinion, was that this time around when he hit the bench, the offense didn't fall apart. And that's because TJ McConnell randomly decided to turn into the second coming of Steve Nash for a few minutes. Okay, maybe that's a bit strong, but just look at the footwork in the paint. Does that not remind you of Nash? Or how about next time down where he gets in close and takes a couple extra dribbles as he probes under the basket, drawing in the defense and kicking it out to Mathurin for a wide open corner 3. McConnell's another guy who can keep up Indiana's tempo. And when he gets into the paint on this one, he first looks for any opportunities to pass before turning into a mid-range jumper that actually gets sent away, straight into the hands of Buddy Hield for a quick hitting triple, exactly how you draw it up. Another thing TJ brings to the table is some feisty perimeter defense. When he makes an over-aggressive jab at the ball, Brown thinks he has an easy kickout, only for him to recover and steal the pass. This play right here capped off a 17-3 run to put the Pacers ahead by 11. Ultimately, they'd win the quarter by 14, turning a 7-point deficit into a 7-point lead behind their staggering 148 offensive rating. But there were still 12 minutes of play, and Boston wasn't going down easy. The pace in this fourth quarter was absurd. You know how some older fans complain about how up and down the game is now? This would be the best example of that. The Jays went crazy, combining for 23 points on 9 of 15 shooting, while on the other end, Halliburton continued his offensive surge, hitting 2 threes and assisting on 6 shots. Both teams eclipsed a 125 offensive rating, and it got to a point where the two were quite literally just going blow for blow, taking turns scoring. It started at 94-91. Jaylen Brown hit a big-time 3 to tie the game, but the Pacers came right back down with a drive from Halliburton, kicking it out to Aaron Nesmith, who attacks a hard closeout and gets to a floater. Then came the Celtics, with pretty much the exact same thing from Al Horford, getting by a closing Turner, with nobody left to step in front of him on his way to a rare dunk. This back and forth continued for about 3 more minutes until the game was tied at 105. From there, the Pacers put on a show.
Inbound to Halliburton. They've still got plenty of time. 7 on the timer. Halliburton tracked. Off balance 3. And he puts it in! And a chance at 4.
And you can see Brown just with the contact on that triple. What a huge play there to put him up 4 here with 1.5 minutes to go. Plenty of time to get the ball back in Halliburton's hands if they don't get a catch and shoot.
Halliburton, the inbounder. They have to work quickly here. Throws in straight away. It's Hield. That's good. Here comes White, and his pass broken up. Halliburton ahead of the field. Naismith drops the hammer.
Just look at how electric the bench is. If you questioned whether or not teams would care about the tournament, all doubt should be out the door. The highlight of this game was of course Tyrese Halliburton, who had the first triple-double of his career with 26, 10, and 13. But really, the Pacers as a unit showed incredible adversity, and the coaching staff made all the right in-game adjustments. They remain undefeated with a record of 5-0 in the tournament as they await the winner of Bucks and Knicks, advancing to the semifinals while putting on a clinic of some of the most fun basketball you'll ever watch. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn my post notifications on to be first on more content. If you're interested in my more in-depth research, make sure to check out my website and social media profiles. You can find those links in the description. Feel free to let me know down in the comments what you thought of this game. As always, I hope you all have a great day, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.